Okay, let's be real. The term artificial intelligence is everywhere. It's in your phone, your car, your email, you name it. But what on earth does it actually mean? Today, we are going to cut through all that marketing hype and find a definition that actually makes sense in the real world.
I mean, really think about it for a second. When your app fixes a typo, is that the same kind of intelligence as a system that can diagnose a super complex medical condition? We're using the same two letters, AI, for both, and that big, fuzzy gray area is creating a ton of confusion.
Look at it this way. On one hand, you've got a pretty simple, rules-based task. On the other, you have something that requires deep, complex analysis. So calling both of these things AI, that's kind of like saying a bicycle and a rocket ship are the same thing, just because they both have wheels. The term has gotten so broad, it's almost lost its meaning.
And you know what's wild? This isn't even a new problem. This idea that the very definition of AI is a moving target, it's been around for decades. What seemed like a miracle yesterday is just a basic calculator today. The goalposts just keep on shifting. So here's where we land. The old philosophical definitions about whether a machine is thinking, they're just too fuzzy, too academic. What we really need is a new yardstick, a practical, straightforward way to measure what is and what isn't truly AI. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into right now. We're going to look at a new framework that just cuts right through all that noise.
Okay, so here's the big shift in thinking. Let's just stop with the endless debates about machine consciousness. It's a dead end. Instead, let's ask a much simpler and, frankly, a much more powerful question. How well does it perform a specific, professional-level task? The real beauty of this performance-based approach is its clarity. And it's all built on a definition that is surprisingly simple. And hey, before we break it all down, if you're the kind of person who loves getting straight to the point on really complex stuff like this, do us a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get right to the heart of it. Here it is, the new performance-based definition of AI. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But let's unpack it. It's software that produces results that actually outperform a human professional. And, this is key, it does this almost entirely on its own. The focus is completely on the final measurable outcome. So, how do we actually apply this definition? How can we tell if a system is really outperforming a human? Well, this framework gives us 3 crystal clear tests. A system gets to be called AI if it passes one of these 3 tests. Number 1, it produces qualitatively better results than a human pro. 2, it produces comparable results, but it does it faster or with less energy. Or, number 3, it does both. Simple as that. Let's start with that first one, better qualitative results. This applies to tasks where quality can be kind of subjective. Think about things like graphic design or writing marketing copy. There's not always a single right answer. But wait, how do you judge better when it's subjective? And this is absolutely key. It's not up to the programmers. It's up to the end users. If the actual customers reading the ad copy consistently rank the AI's work higher than a human's, well, it passes the test. Now, the second test is all about efficiency. And this is where things get really interesting. In this case, the AI doesn't have to be better than a human professional, just equal. But it has to get there faster, or, and I love this part, using measurably less energy. But, to make a comparison like this actually fair, you've got to have some ground rules. You can't just have a vague competition. So this framework lays out some very specific conditions for these tests. Okay, so here are the rules of the game. First, human intervention has to be basically 0. We're only talking about fixing rare glitches. Second, like we said, quality is judged by the end users, either through rankings or just by them choosing the AI's output more often. And third, any comparison of energy cost has to be done scientifically. And when we talk about a scientific comparison, it goes way deeper than you might think. We're not just talking about the electricity that's powering a server farm. No, the comparison has to account for the energy a human professional burns, right down to the actual calories their brain is consuming to do the exact same task. And when you actually measure it that way, wow, the difference can be absolutely staggering. For certain kinds of analytical tasks, an AI system can get to the same result as a human expert while using just a tiny fraction of the total energy. I mean, that is a massive leap in efficiency.
This quote right here is so important because it totally flips the whole idea of learning on its head. Under this new definition, the process of learning or adapting isn't the goal. It's just a means to an end. A system that's still learning is just under development. The real test is whether it can solve the problem and deliver that superior result. So we've got a new definition, we've got new tests, we've got new rules, but why does any of this actually matter? What's the big takeaway from shifting our perspective like this? It matters because it finally gives us clarity. It takes us out of the clouds of philosophy and puts our feet on the solid ground of performance. It gives us a practical, measurable, and pretty future-proof yardstick that we can actually use to evaluate all this technology. So when you boil it all down, this whole framework gives us three things: a clear focus on performance, an objective yardstick based on things we can actually measure, like results and time and energy, and a super simple definition for intelligent behavior. It saves time and gets the job done better. And that leaves us with one final and, I think, pretty provocative thought. If we accept that performance is the ultimate test for intelligence, and that AI is just going to keep getting better at more and more tasks, which uniquely human jobs, if any, will always pass the test? Definitely something to think about.